What's up? Welcome back to the Course Creators Podcast. It has been pretty much a decade, not quite, but near enough since we've done an episode. So I got together with my mate Ian, and we thought it's about time we followed through with our threats of doing some podcasting and talking about the training and education industry.
We've only been talking about this for 15 years.
I think it's been about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not lying when talking.
Here we
10.
are, finally. Thank God.
So we are here at the Maison de Cordiner. Ian's come up to say hello, and we just thought, what an amazing time for us to start the conversation about what on earth is going on in the training and education industry. And I want to talk to you first of all a little bit about the context of Ian and I and where we're at and how we work in this space, because it is a big one. We do actually come from two very different spaces. So Ian, do you just want to introduce yourself? We've been mates for a long time. I know you, no one else does. Tell us about the space that you work in the context of coaching, training, education, and sort of how you got where you are today.
Sure. Yeah, I actually started off as a teacher, a physical education teacher. And when I traveled overseas, I saw very quickly where those skills could be done in the adult education area. So I've always been in the education, teaching, training sort of area. Very quickly, I then got into sports education. So organizational development and coaching, as in sports coaching, not the coaching we're talking about. And I found that really interesting. And then a mentor of mine said, do you want to give this leadership corporate stuff a go? And I went, oh, okay. And I think working with volunteers gave me a real good basis of how to do it well, because if you don't do it well with volunteers, they just leave.
Yeah.
And so got caught up in the corporate world. And so I specialize in leadership and influence. And I work globally with companies like Hewlett Packard. I've got a pharmaceutical company out of Belgium that I'm working with tonight. Rio Tinto, BHP, all those sort of places. That's where my main is. Mainly training. I like facilitating training. And the coaching that I do leverages off that. So it's rare for someone to come to me and go, hey, let's just do coaching. Because the facilitating and training is where I love to be.
Up at the front end.
Yeah, I love it. And obviously major changes through COVID, which I guess we're going to talk about in a second.
Definitely. So, Ian's really coming at us from being very much in that B2B corporate space and has a lot to share with us. And we're going to be doing a few more episodes over time about, how Ian's got into that space, tips for everyone who's looking to get into that B2B space, and how you get those contracts, how you know what to teach and offer, who is it that you're even approaching and dealing with when you're making those deals and agreements, and the funnel behind the scenes, which there still is one for B2B. A lot of people think that B2B is very different to B2C. There's not a funnel in the same way, but you've literally just said there, your front end is being in the room on the stage. The back end that follows is then the ongoing coaching that might come from that and the ongoing support for the leaders that you're working with. So hello, for those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Sarah Cordiner. I'm a qualified course creation expert, and I help people create their courses as well as host a platform called Techmatics, where you can run it all from. Now, we, over the last couple of years, have all, I think, very much had our lives tipped upside down, shaken around about, thrown in the air for good measure. I think if you haven't moved around, adapted, adjusted, iterated, or just completely given up on life in some form or another in the last 2 years, please tell us your secrets.
Yeah. And can I move in with you, please?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Are you going to eat that?
Yeah. I wouldn't ask.
And it's interesting, Ian, because I remember you and I having a chat, 3 years ago now, pretty much to the day. I had a baby that was approximately 9 days old, and I thought I was going to take a bit of time off for maternity leave, which I didn't get time to do with my first child. And I remember sitting on a video call with you going, well, I'm stuffed because I've got this tiny baby. And the world's going online rapidly because everyone's lost their jobs. Everyone's been sent home from work. And I'm being inundated with these people saying, help, I need to get online. And you went, well, that's interesting because I'm stuffed because I've just lost every single client, contract and speaking gig I had lined up for the next 12 months. So we're in this really weird scenario.
Terrifying.
Of being stuffed in completely new ways where, some people won, some people lost. For some people, both happened in very different ways and capacities. And I remember you and I sitting down there going, right, what are we going to do?
Yeah. I cried a little bit, I must admit.
I'm not surprised. So, do you want to just share with everyone what happened? Because I know that you had a year's worth of international trips booked.
Yeah. So the year before COVID, I was away from home 200 nights. and I flew over 150 times.
Jeez.
And so to go from that, I was in Melbourne running a workshop, half people virtual, half people in the room. And I got a phone call at 3:00 by the boss. You're going home, Cross. We've got you on an airplane. We cut the course by day. I went to my room. I then packed up. I went to the airport. By the time I drove to the airport, I had 90 days cancelled. And by the time I got
by the time you got to the airport,
so 30 minutes. I forgot to turn my phone back on.
Can we just, like, you know, let's just rewind this a tiny bit. We're like, 90 days work, whatever, right? 90 days work equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars in this industry. Can we just, let's just get that clear.
Yeah, I think that the fact that my course had finished and I was sort of like, what the hell's going on? I'm rushing to the airport to get on a plane because I could get stuck here and all that sort of stuff, dampened it a little bit. And when I got home and sat there and went, what the hell am I going to do today? That's when the realization sort of crept in.
Wow.
And I wasn't alone. You know, all my other facilitator friends were in exactly the same place. Our businesses stopped like that. And I must admit, looking back now, it probably worked out well because I'd been going really hard. I slept for 2 weeks. And then got back into my fitness and all that stuff and tried to be really positive about it and just waited for a little while. But after 3 weeks, it started to creep up again. And well,
you lose your identity. I mean, I can relate to it from having just had a baby. And, you know, it's my second time around, I was freaking out because the first time I couldn't work. I had this tiny thing. I didn't know what to do. My identity changed overnight because I couldn't work. So a lot of me the second time around was in some capacity, even though, you know, financially my business was actually boosted a bit by what happened because of being online. You know, I was very much able to empathize with that, losing your identity, not being able to work, because there were so many months where I couldn't when I had my first one. I know very, very different situations, but the feelings of what the hell do I do now? Who am I now? How on earth am I going to get through this next bit of my life? It's kind of crazy.
And I think with yours, watching from back, you know, your connection with your group, your tribe is really close as well. And I think that must have impacted on you pretty hard. Balancing child over here and
and it really did. And that actually led me to end up making a pretty big decision. When the COVID came along, I was obviously inundated with people, hearts broken, genuine sheer panic, their lives completely come crumbling down around them, going, Sarah, please help me get online. PS, I can't pay you. Like, because I've just lost all my money. I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent next month. I've had all my contracts pulled, all my speaking gigs pulled, everything I've been doing training in the industry is gone. And I kind of went, well, what can I do here? I can't solve the world's problems. But that was the point at which I made the decision to open up my primary course, How to Create Profitable Online Courses. And I actually gave away $1.35 million worth of places on that course, completely free of charge, to help people get back online at that time. And it was just...
How did your tribe, how did the people that you work with and connected to respond to that? Because that's unusual in our world, isn't it?
Yeah.
We charge for everything.
I was really worried about doing it in some respects, in that there were thousands of people in my group and in my community and on my email list who had paid for that course in the past.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because that course has been open for a long time, right? And it's been updated for about 7 years. I've been continuously updating that course. And so I was a little bit worried, thinking, oh my gosh, if I go out and help with this gesture, am I going to get, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of refund requests? So people go, well, that's not fair. I paid for this. I want it for free too. But I think the world really did bandy together in that moment. I didn't have, I did have a couple of people just say, that's not fair. But I helped them in other ways. But generally speaking, people were so grateful for that gesture. And I didn't do it for any other reason than, you know, back in the day in my business. So, you know, some people who listened to my podcast before will have heard the story. In 2013, 14, I lost $2.7 million in a day. I nearly went into administration. I lost everything quite genuinely. So for me, when I was having everyone coming to me in COVID saying, I've lost everything, I could relate so much that all I could think about is, I can't solve your problems. I can't, you know, cover your rent for you, but I can give you a course that will help you get your knowledge online, that will help you move from the classroom to your desk, that will help you take your knowledge from my cat's joining in celebration. They will help you take your, this into an online course that's going to allow you to create passive income that's going to go out and serve the world. And a lot of people are just like, thank you so much. You've completely saved my life. And it worked for a lot of people. And
we've known each other for a while now. And to tell you the truth, that's been a philosophy of yours from the beginning. It just went on to steroids at that stage. The amount of time and effort you give to your paying and unpaying customers to help them out is probably the basis of your success, I would suggest, as well.
I truly believe the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
And that's definitely my marketing model is give, be the most helpful person in the industry. And that's how you'll succeed. And honestly, that's when I do truly believe is what's contributed to me getting to where I am today is I rocked up in Australia with nothing but a suitcase full of bikinis in the middle of winter.
Funny accent.
Yeah, in the middle of Australia winter. And winter does happen here, FYI. So that was interesting. But I didn't have a mobile phone. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have an internet connection. I had an empty rented lease with no furniture in it. I didn't have a friend in the world. And I certainly didn't have a job or any money. I just got married, spent my life savings on a wedding and got on a plane and buggered off to Australia with nothing in my pocket. And I thought, well, like there's all these competition that, well-established Australian businesses. Here's this gypsy immigrant, right, with nothing. Yeah. And I thought, well, I can't outspend them. I can't outmarket them. I don't have these big fancy teams. I haven't got any fancy marketing stuff. But I sure as hell can out-help them. One thing they haven't got is someone who cares, who can answer people's questions down on the ground. So I just went out there with the attitude of, I'm going to go out there and be the most helpful person I can possibly be in my industry. Yeah. Lo and behold, a few months later, I've got a 7-figure business and 9 people working in my kitchen. So it's
and just let you know, there weren't chefs or working in the kitchen. They weren't, people washing your clothes and all that stuff. They were actually education training people. Very important thing to remember.
I'm still working on that though. Like if you want a job, like
okay, COVID didn't hurt me that bad. Isn't that what your husband does?
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, you're so brave when he's not here.
Oh no, he's genuinely his dream to be a house husband. He
really?
Hurry up and retire me. So we're working.
All right, well, hurry up then. That's
hurry
fine.
Up and retire him. So no, it's all good. So look, we've all seen so much change happen, and I think a lot of us have obviously pivoted to this world of what we call blended learning, blended delivery. A little bit online, a little bit in person. I think people are looking forward to going back out traveling again, getting back on their planes, going out to conferences in person. I've certainly seen the last 6 months, the conferences are back on and it's really nice. Yeah,
I've just booked 3 weeks in Singapore at the end of this month. So that's really exciting for me.
Oh, the cat's getting involved. So everyone on the video, we actually have a dog and a cat going on here. But we are genuinely at home in my house right now.
And that's only a third of them.
Yeah, the Wild West around here. So we're also in this time have not only seen, everything we do be flipped upside down. We've all completely had to evolve in some way or another. Now, on top of that, we're going through a new wave of change with our favorite thing, AI.
Yes.
Controversially.
Yeah.
Right? Controversially, my favorite thing. I personally am in the camp of I freaking love this. I think it's the most exciting thing in the world. Tech turns me on, right? On another level. It really does.
And it's something I've learned about you today. All right.
Yeah. And it's exciting. I find all these tools that are coming out, I'm just it's so cool. Let me on it. I want to play. In fact, while we're recording this right now, I've got some AI video repurposing tools, chopping up some of my content. I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah. You're always messaging me constantly. We're always messaging each other on Facebook. Yeah. Like our kind of inbox messages like, ooh, I've got something sexy for you to see. What is it? Like some new tech tool, like sexy. It really is.
Yeah, I need a girlfriend, really. That's the positive, the highlight of my day. There's a new AI video thing out. Have you seen this?
Sarah, you're going to love it. I'm like, stop dirty talking with me, man. So obviously talking of dirty talking, to some people this really is dirty, right? This is proper dirty talk because there's a lot of people freaking out that jobs are going to get replaced. Copywriters are going to lose their jobs. Artists are going to lose their jobs. VAs are going to lose their jobs. We just had that chat then. Our VA is going to be next, I personally don't think so. But I mean, Ian, do you just want to talk to some of the things that you're hearing out there about the pros and cons of AI? Like, what are you seeing that is exciting? What do you think is causing fear around some of these things in this industry?
I'm into all those shiny new things as well. So I really enjoy seeing what is, and it just, I've messed around with AI for a while and seen a step jump into ChatGPT. I haven't even got a glass, so I can't even blame drinking. Although, what's in your glass? It just blows my mind, the technology we can use it. And it's the same as everything else we've experienced. Will people lose their jobs? Yeah, probably. But I saw somewhere the other day, just simply, in America, they reckon about $54 million jobs are going to be lost because of artificial intelligence. But they then said 85 million new ones are going to be created because of this.
Yeah.
And you and I went through that stage, well, more me than you, where computers came in and everyone's going to lose their jobs. And, well, that hasn't happened. We've adapted, we've overcome, we've changed. Is there going to be modification to all those people, copywriters and all that stuff? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And no matter, I've used the chat one that we just talked about, and I'm scared to say it again because I'll say it wrong. And I'm also using GPT.
I got your back, bro.
Thank you. I'm also using Jasper, so that sort of next level up, and it's still not my personality. Does it speed things up? Absolutely. Does it get me over writer's block? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Titles, for example, gives me examples of way better titles for my blogs and posts than I would ever come up with. So it just speeds things up.
Yeah, okay.
And I think both of us are probably similar where we want to make an impact. Yeah, we want to make an income and all that sort of stuff and live the life that we want, but I want to make an impact. And this is going to let me make a bigger impact in the time that I have left than if I had to start from a blank page every day. So scary, yeah, but also look at the research. People don't like change, and that's what people are feeling now. And if we have this conversation in a year's time, the people that are listening right now are going to go, what was I worried about?
Yeah.
Look
at those old people talking about old news.
But also, the people that you look after, the coaches and professional speakers and that, it's like it's been built for us. It's going to be great.
It's exciting. I think if we go back to that, look back at the Industrial Revolution, all these machines came in and factories opened, and we got rid of thousands of people who were manually sewing things, cutting things, chopping things, boxing things. Machines started doing it. Boom. Did anyone lose their jobs at the time?
Yeah, it hurts.
But that created millions more jobs in the long run. And, look at us all now. And I think, you're right. I think that we're not going to stop doing what we do. It's going to change how we do it. I'm certainly not worried that as a qualified course creation expert, as someone who spent years at university learning how to create curriculum, that a robot can now do that in seconds because you still need context. You still have to use an input experience. You still have to tie together the context of the individual that's learning it with the information and content that's been pulled up by the robot, and then structure and ladder it in a way that we know your humans, your specific target audience humans, need to put all of that together into a comprehensible learning program that people are going to enjoy and engage in. And that engagement part is only going to happen with human beings. So it's, speeding things up, great. But I really don't think we're in a situation where it's going to be replacing people by any means.
Will make us better, hopefully, or speed us up.
Yeah.
So it might give us the first 2 steps, and then we have to do the next 8. And the other thing around coaching and training, you rock in, do coaching training here. The very next person looks freaking completely different.
Yeah.
And AI is not going to be able to do that on the run. You need to know your content, how it links, what's best for that person versus that person. And with the diversity that we have in the workplace now, with 5 generations in a workplace, just start off with, every day I've got to run and deliver content for that 70-year-old and 19-year-old apprentice.
Yeah.
AI can't do that on the run.
Yeah.
Right. So the expertise behind it, I think it's just going to speed us up.
Yeah.
Hopefully more time with our family, more time with that.
Yeah.
But not you and I, because we'll just find something bigger and better to do.
Yeah.
But I think you're totally correct. All we got to do is understand, most people that probably listening as well as human beings, it may feel weird. It may feel because it's change.
Yeah.
And human beings don't do change well. Everyone struggles to change. The only difference is some people get through it faster than the others.
Yeah.
And this is what we're experiencing. And I must admit, as someone who likes technology and likes all the new shiny things, I'm a bit overwhelmed. It's not just the use of Jasper or ChatGPT or anything like that. It's all the things that are radiating from that, like the thing we just looked at, the video. But also now we've got artificial voices. Can we use that at any stages? And now we've got artificial voices that sound like us. Should we use that or shouldn't we? And it just goes bigger and bigger. And I think just got to ride the wave.
Do you know, one of the things I've seen really interestingly in all of the Facebook groups is people saying there's going to be this new massive influx of content creation, and are people going to be interested in information anymore when everyone's going to be mass producing this bot stuff? Well, I think this is where people like us, coaches, consultants, course creators, those that are used to and familiar with teaching and presenting, I think this is going to be where we are going to continue to rise above everyone else, where we're going to continue to stand out from the crowd, because video is going to be even more important. Video that is authentically, completely naturally delivered, chucking on a live stream where it's your real voice with no script, sharing what you know, is where we are going to excel above everyone else who's just going to the ChatGPT or other AI tools, generating a picture, sharing it, generating some random text and sharing it, right? I think that will just wash away in the noise. People who are literally continuing to share their knowledge, share their tips online via video are no one can say it's faked. You can't
I think that's the key point.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
Or AI may develop it, but our job isn't to develop, it's to deliver. And that's what you're talking about. And that's hopefully will let us get better skills and be able to do it better, because we're not over here having to start with a blank page all the time. I think, and that's the same with when COVID came through with Zoom and all those others, facilitators who had never been involved in that environment got caught out. I think doing online delivery shows your weaknesses that you can get away with face to face. Because I can walk over to that person and go, "Oh, you didn't understand. Here's another explanation." In the virtual world, you can't do that. Unless they go, "I don't understand." You can't tell. And so, I saw a lot of my mates who hadn't done a lot of this before COVID really struggling, because it just showed up. The questions weren't right, didn't land. If you spoke too long, people just literally switched their cameras on and went and had lunch. Although I must admit, the most terrifying part of that last couple of years, the amount of naked people I've seen wandering behind people trying to run my. So I'm average about 40 to 60 hours a week of delivery online, and the amount of people, the partners, have just walked into kitchens completely naked, and I need counselling.
I was doing a presentation to thousands of people because it was a conference.
I don't know what story this one.
And I had this new nanny. Bless her, she was gorgeous. She was over from Japan and she got stuck in Australia because of COVID. So I was like, I'll take you in. I really need some help with the nanny. So she happily nannied. It's like her third day at my house. And my toddler, through the most epic tantrum you've ever seen in your life, refused to get dressed after her bath. I've got this naked kid running through the room. This Japanese nanny's pulling her by the leg, trying to drag her back out of the room. In the end, I just completely gave in. I was like, sorry about the naked child. There's all I could see, luckily, was just the sea of faces laughing.
And the sea of faces usually see it before you do it as well. So.
Oh, it's just so funny. In the end, all kinds of crazy. I mean, you're sat here now with a little cat parrot on your shoulder, on the back of your chair.
Something different for me.
Yeah, it's all good. And so look, I guess we've got the funnies, we've got the exciting change coming along. I'm really enjoying playing around with it. I think once we figure out how to use these as tools and, see that we still need to drive the car. It's the car that is the tool. We're still having to get it to the right destination and to do it without crashing and being able to flick around all of the obstacles that run across the road in front of us. I think we can really use this to enhance our delivery, to reach more people, to produce better quality content, to produce different kinds of content that perhaps on our own as an individual, we can't be perfect at everything. AI is going to help us fill in holes in our own skill sets. And it's going to be, I think we're in for a really exciting couple of years ahead as to what we can do with this.
I think so. And, everyone listening, just take a deep breath. It's okay. We'll get through it. And Sarah's here to help you out, including me. And we'll get through it. I think it will just enhance. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to also reflect as deliverers in whatever form that is, from coaching all the way through to keynotes. Is we need to up our skills in the delivery style. Definitely. The content is being helped. it's now time to step up the next level of delivery. I think the mistake that people like us will make in the industry is they'll develop something over here for the content and they'll use artificial voices. Boy, oh boy, that's just a dumb thing to do if you're in that coaching, speaking world. Would it be easier for me? Oh my goodness, it'd be so much easier. But I'm a speaker. People buy my voice. People buy my delivery.
You're your personality.
Yeah, and if I do it that, I think it would be a massive mistake.
Yeah. 100%. And then again, this is why I think it's really, really important for us to see this as a tool and not as a replacement of who we are, because of the fact that we are going to be able to still continue to stand out with our own personality, our own unique style, our own way of explaining things, adding our own context and experiences to the examples that we use. That's what makes us who we are. That's what makes us attractive to our audience. That's what makes people want more of us. And that's the thing that gets us booked and paid for.
Absolutely.
So tools can't do that. Robots are never going to be able to be us. Hopefully,
not in our lifetime.
We'll wait till next podcast for that.
Also, just
another 10 years.
Just the video stuff. We can do PowerPoints. I had a look at it. They suck. The PowerPoints that they're building are really poor. They don't go across any guidelines that we would teach. Yeah. And so therefore, good. Let people do that, because you're going to come in and do your style and look so much better.
Yeah.
It's.
Last question before we go today. A lot of people ask me this: is face-to-face training delivery or presenting ever going to be dead?
Oh my goodness, no, absolutely not. Will it take on different forms? Yeah. I'm not sure in our lifetime this might occur. The whole, putting virtual reality goggles on and all that sort of stuff, that's definitely going to come into play. It's already there.
It's already there, yeah.
It's already there. And now we've got sensor suits. So we'll be able to do team activities and, high fives and all that stuff, and we'll be able to feel that contact. But what?
I'm in here high-fiving my cat.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
there
it is. There we go. Sorry. I think that it's going to be our ability to reach more people is going to increase, because face-to-face. And one of the things I've learned during this COVID time, I do, sometimes I've done 20 hours of presenting. So I wake up in New Zealand and I just follow the sun across the world.
Wow.
And there's just no way I could do that face to face. And so my impact has got significantly better. Is the quality of training the same? Probably. I won't tell my clients this. Probably not. Because again,
you're not in the room.
I can't see when they go. I can't see when they can't write something down.
That level of interaction isn't there. It can't be replaced through a computer screen.
Exactly. So face to face is not dead. I also think that we will go through a phase where a lot of people just go do virtual, and then we'll come back to a point where we realize that it doesn't work as well, and it'll creep back up again. I work with companies, significant companies here in West Australia, who have sold all their offices. Wow. And I think that is a stupid thing to do. Downsize, absolutely, but we need that face-to-face collaboration. The research tells us we do, to get that conflict that builds us and makes us strong. We can't do that as well at the moment in the virtual world, so we need that face-to-face. So long story short, it ain't going anywhere. But all I can say is to your listeners is you need to get good at it. You can't be just this average Joe Blow. Go out and become exceptional at it.
And you can't get good at it just doing online presentation either. That's the key, isn't it? Is that I think the people like you and I who had a number or a degree of face-to-face training experience before COVID came along, I think it's contributed to us being better presenters online, because we had practiced presentation style, voice, tonality,
and also diversity of groups, though.
Yeah.
From kids through to executives through to mums and dads.
100%.
That really helped us survive what we've done.
So I think for those who have come into the online learning space since COVID has happened, and this is a new industry for you, my personal recommendation, I'm sure yours would be too, would be start getting into a physical room as fast as possible, because that is going to massively build on the online presentation skills that you've developed in a way that's going to make you really stand out from the competition that's out there, which at the moment is very, very small, and it feels like everyone's doing it. But half the world doesn't yet, for a start. We're at the beginning of this curve. It does.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's true, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, over half of the world doesn't yet have the internet. I have so many people, course creators, say to me, "There's so much competition. The market is flooded." I'm like, "It hasn't even started yet." Right? Literally, you are literally at the front of the learning revolution. We are so in the time and the space. The next 2 years, I think, is pretty much all we have left to be the global leaders in our spaces in the online. We're the first generation to have all of this. So make the most of it. practice. Just be yourself, be a human.
Yeah,
Profiles can't do that for you. And I'm looking forward to hearing any questions that come back about topics that we're going to continue talking about. Ian and I certainly stay on top of tech, but we're also still very much in the trenches, in the face-to-face of the creation, of the delivery, of being in classrooms, of being in businesses and corporations with our clients. So really have kind of the information, the experiences from every angle. So drop your questions that you have about anything to do with the teaching, training, education, presentation space. And Ian and I will certainly get back to you with our answers. We have a number of podcast episodes coming up. We're going to be talking about all of these different areas in a lot more detail, including strategy and how-tos, and just probably having a good old laugh. I like making Ian feel uncomfortable with inappropriate jokes as well. So there'll be plenty of that.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I'm looking for, well, look at the time. I've got to go.
Thank you again. Do share this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. See you soon for another episode of the Course Creators Podcast. Bye for now.